Hello and welcome to the channel. My name is Jennifer Johnson and I raise sheep for their wool. And this series of videos called The Road to Rhinebeck is going to be videos about me getting ready for vending at the Dutchess County Sheep and Wool Festival, also known as Rhinebeck. The festival takes place the third weekend in October. This year the festival starts on Saturday the 19th, runs through the 20th, the Sunday. It starts at 9, runs to 5 on Saturday, and 9 to 4 on Sunday. And as I said, I'm a vendor there, so I have my spinning wheels. That's my main focus, is I bring spinning wheels for people to try so they can, learn how the Majacraft products work. I also bring fiber prep tools, and I encourage people to bring like problem fleeces or fiber that they want to try to blend and play around with a little bit. And, let's find you a solution with the Majacraft tools that I'm going to have at the booth. So I'll have their combs, hand cards, the blending board, the drum carder, and a flicker. And so it's just a lot of fun. But the other thing I feature is wool from my sheep. This year is going to be a little bit different. Prior years I've had my second quality wool, stuff like skirtings that aren't really bad, ram fleeces from sheep that I've sold, but I've bought back their wool. Normally I send that to Zeilingers, and they've been converting that into a really nice comb top prep. But sadly, they've closed down their business, so they're no longer operating. And they shifted their comb top equipment to another factory where they're going to be finishing my order there, but unfortunately it's not going to be ready for Rhinebeck. So if you're coming to my booth, and I think I'm going to be saying this a lot that weekend, I'm not going to have comb top like I've had in prior years at the booth to sell. I will have it later on, and you can order it online, which is a lot more inconvenient for me actually. But so that's one thing. I will have fawn and gray pin drafted roving from a new mill I'm working with called Bat and Kill, and they're in near the Rhinebeck Fiber Festival that I just came back from. So we'll be seeing what that looks like, and that will be in the booth, and I should have roughly 5 pounds of both those colors. But what I wanted to talk about today is a product that I offer in the booth that is a little bit sentimental, I think, the way I describe it. And it is the Monteagle market bag. So this is a pattern for just a really fun string market bag. And I've been making these for years with, some of the really fine hand spun. And I think in the past I would use fleeces or britch wool or something like that. But what I do now to make this bag and offer it for sale is I take all of the bobbins from festivals gone by that were sitting on the wheels that people were spinning, learning how to spin on the Majacraft wheel. So these are the bobbins that are on the demo wheels when I take them to fiber festivals. So here's one. I think this was on the Majacraft rose wheel for the past 3 or 4 festivals. So I let them get built up till they reach, a certain quantity, certain mass. And then what I do is I ply these. Before I get into that, I just want to show you, when I bring wheels to fiber festivals, I bring along this enormous bag which holds all different sorts of varieties of fiber and colors and breeds and preps, and just I try to collect as much variety, because here's the thing: when people come to try the spinning wheels, I get a huge array of profiles of hand spinners, people that have been spinning for years and are very comfortable and can spin pretty much anything, people that have just started, usually they've got experience with stuff like Romney fleeces, people that really have specific preferences. So what I'll do is I'll go to different booths and buy wool ready to spin. So this, for example, is a braid from Dirty Girl Yarns. I just got this weekend at the Rhinebeck Festival, and it spoke to me because red, whenever I ask people, what color do you like, they always pick, many times they'll pick red. And it's also really fun for when I'm doing demonstrations on the drum carder to be able to throw in a little splash of red. So this is Dirty Girl Yarns. This is Rambouillet, 4 ounces. I bought it at this festival. It's $26. And she buys the wool from a wholesaler and then dyes it herself. She's got beautiful stuff. And I don't know, here's some purple roving that I got at a guild meeting. We had a vendor setting up. I think her name is Priscilla. But just all sorts of stuff. I have a little bag here of fiber that came off of my sheep. This is what I use to do demonstrations on the foot carder because it's washed but not processed. So it works out really great for that purpose. So it's just a really fun grab bag of stuff. This is some green alpaca roving. Looks almost like a pin drafted. And I got this at, I remember, that's the funny thing is I remember pretty much where I got it, not always who I got it from. This was a bag of fiber I bought from a neighbor at Central New York Fiber Festival the first year I did it. And she had this in her little sale. And just all sorts of little bits and bobs. Here's pretty, oh, I love this one. This is navy blue, I think it's BFL. So you can see there's a lot of different kinds of fiber for people to select. So this always comes with me. It's always in the booth. And I try to, I'll select a few and just put them in a basket to make it more convenient. But this is always here. So if somebody tells me, oh, I'm really comfortable spinning BFL, get that out because I want to remove all the variables. I want them to really know that what they're doing is, they're uncomfortable with the fiber and learning, how the wheel works and enjoying spinning on it. So because it's all these different kinds of fiber, and plus that, all different levels of skill, and also different preferences for how they like to spin, these skeins that you make from these are just so great. What I love about them, when I'm plying them, number one is sometimes I remember the people who did it. Particularly if they are somebody that was doing like a really interesting art yarn or somebody that was really struggling and so that yarn was just so tightly coiled that you could use it to scrub pots and pans. I'm not judging. I love that. They're all gonna get there at their own pace, right? So so what I love to do is when I'm plying them, so I'll ply them on, this is the bobbin carrier that comes with the rose wheel, and I use it as a lazy Kate because it works fine for me. And I do 2-ply, so I'll put one bobbin on this post, and I use standard bobbins, not jumbo. Another bobbin on this post, and then I'll just start plying. This lazy Kate actually only works with standard bobbins, not jumbo. The tension lazy Kate is designed for use with jumbo bobbins. But my point is, it's really fun to watch when the two strands, as I'm plying them together, meet each other, and they're two totally different textures. The color combinations, there's times when I'm putting 2 colors together, plying, and I'm thinking, I never would have put those 2 together, but I just love it. So it's really fun, and I especially love to do it after, a couple events. So like right now, my Western New York Fiber Festival was a few weeks ago. Adirondack was last week. There's probably some stuff from a festival I do in February, the Tina Turner Knits in Rochester. So it's just really fun. And there's probably some stuff on here that I spun. So for example, last weekend I was demonstrating the flicker out in the front of my booth, flicking locks from that brown fiber I showed you, and then spinning it on the wheel. So some of these will be things that I've made also. So I'm going to apply that, all these colors. This is actually the drop spindle that I use to demonstrate drop spindling. And a lot of times I will make prep off of the drum carder and then show people, because many people have nothing. They have no background. And I'll show them, this is why you do this. You take that and you put it on your, and the spindle is just easy to grab rather than getting set up on a wheel. And so a lot of this is stuff that I spun, but really fun, different colors. It reminds me of those rubber band balls that people make because it's just so many different colors all kind of smashed together. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to apply all this stuff, and make a couple skeins. And then from those skeins, I will knit this bag. And I offer the bag for sale in my booth. And I just created a little write-up about it. And I add that it goes with the bag. So if you purchase the bag in my booth, I don't sell this online. It's really only for at fiber festivals. So just kind of explain the story of why the bag is special. You know, you think about all the hands that went into making this and the different experience levels. I mean, even here you can see, I still have to pull out some of the stitches, but you can see the big blobby pink there, right next to a really nicely spun natural, or like purple, I guess. There's black and almost like a light green. It sort of reminds me of mint chocolate chip. So this bag is practically done. I just have to pull out these stitches. I'm going to go through and knit each of these stitches for you so you can see. The bag is really fun. Let's talk about the knitting. I still have to close this up in the bottom. So this is the bottom of the bag. I used to sew it with a needle, but I'm really not a big fan of needles like this. I'm talking about sewing needles where you have to thread it through the eye and then do stitches. I hate it. So I crochet it closed now. I have no explanation for this, why I'm so averse to needles and so okay with everything else. But crocheting it was really fun, and I loved the way it looked. So from here on out, I crochet the base of this. And then I just have to weave in the ends, which I'll get that done here shortly. So this one will be ready to go for Rhinebeck. This is the book the pattern came in. I think Rich bought this for me as a gift. And it's the only pattern I made. The pattern calls for a linen thread. So the actual bag is really delicate and pretty. Bid farewell to plastic grocery bags forever and say hello to 1971 while you're at it. They're just really clever. These girls know how to write. What I've done is I've made a copy of the pattern. This is the copy that I use, and you can see it's almost like a washcloth. It is so wrinkled and worn. But this is actually what I used to make it. So I will include the information about this book. Just a lot of really fun patterns I've never made, but I love looking at it. And the girls, they write up really funny little excerpts for each pattern. Kay Gardner and Anne Shane. And this is the bag. So I always have a market bag in the works. There's always enough, there's skeins here for me to make it. Here's what's left from the last bag. Looks like somebody really went to town with a gray wool and spent some time on the wheel because there's quite a lot of gray left on this skein. It's plied with gray and pink. It looks really pretty. Peach, turns peach there. But this is the bag that I put the project in. And in the bag I keep a ruler because you need to measure the handle. It's supposed to be 18 inches stretched. So when I'm making it, here it is. Because you have to, I'll show you this, but you have to cast off with a knit stitch. So there's 3, I'll show it to you. I'm not going to be able to explain it. But before you connect it, you measure the handle stretched to 18 inches like this. So I have the ruler in here that stays in here. And then I don't know what this is called, but it holds onto the stitches of the handle while you're binding off, so then you can cast off with using this. A little scissors, which when the boys were in school, every year they insisted on getting a new pair of little scissors, and these things are super sharp and great, so I keep them for my project bags. And then I have a circular, and it's just a hideous plastic needle. It's actually the one I bought the first time I made the bags, back when this was kind of the option. This is a long time ago. I'm pretty sure it's a size 10 needle. Might be an 8. And then I have some double pointed 10s, which I use when I just cast on. US 10. Bamboo. I can't remember the name of the company that makes these. It's that the one in the green package. But I just keep these in here because I don't have any other projects that I use to size 10 needles for. Plying, I use my Hansen e-spinner. I just prefer that for plying because I can really ramp up the speed and it kind of flies. So I like that. So I'll use the e-spinner for plying. Then I'm going to wash the skeins. There's going to be dye probably coming out in the water, but it doesn't affect the color work at all. And then I'm going to hopefully try to knit a bag for Rhinebeck, and that'll give me 3 bags for me to put up on my booth for a display. So I'm going to get started with the plying now. So here I am powering it up, plugging in the power cord, and now I have to put the brake band on. The Hansen e-spinner has a Scotch tension, so you do have the brake band to adjust the take-up tension. Now I'm feeding my leader through the guide, the hook. Now that's my orifice tool, pulling it through the orifice to feed the leader through so I can get started with something. That's the start-stop pedal. I have to plug that into the machine. And that's kind of like a sewing machine. It's just on or off. It doesn't have any slow down or speed up capability. And now I'm just putting my 2 singles into the machine. I kind of tilt my hand at an angle to get a really good twist so that the yarn joins nicely. And I'm off and running. That little knob there is how I adjust the speed that the flyer rotates. So I've got my grappling hook or whatever this thing is called. That's what I use to kind of take a lot of the tension off of my hands because sometimes my hands get irritated from having that pressure. And the other thing is it's tricky to ply bobbins that were spun by other people because a lot of people aren't using the same tension I'm comfortable with, so it took me like 3 tries to get the e-spinner working. And like right here I've got, it just broke because somebody started at a weird place or whatever, but that's okay. It's still really fun. So I still really enjoy it. So I'm going to stop the spinner now and find the end here. It doesn't really have to be perfect, because I'm using this to make that market bag, which that's part of the appeal. It's just the lack of. Right, so here's an example where there's a lot of overspinning here. Maybe she's a new spinner. Maybe she was just kind of wigging out about the tension, but it's going in. It goes in no matter what. I can feel another nice barbed wire coming in. So this is going to be fun. When I ply from the bobbin, what I'm going to do, this is the beginning on the inside. So I'm going to use this as make this my center pole, like a center pole, wound ball. And I'm hoping that's going to work for me. So let's just give that a try here and see. It's already kind of knotting up. I'm not very adept at making a nice cop, which is what this is called. I don't really put a lot of work into that. So here's where it's the fruit of my labors, because I don't really wind it carefully. I kind of go pretty random. All right, let's give this a shot and see. I'm feeling very untalented right now. It's okay. I'm sitting far away from the e-spinner, which is I only use it for plying, because someone told me that you want to have a good distance between the origin bobbins and your plying source, so that the ply can be evenly distributed that whole distance. It made a lot of sense to me, so I do that now. I'm going to have to dispense with the grappling hook because if I just let this hang, it's going to untwist, which I don't want. Wow, that's nice and thick. Oh, I lost my... I think that's where this piece comes in then. We're going to graft that in there, just grab it up. I just changed my mind. I'm going to go from the outside because this inside center pull thing is not working. I like these bright colors coming off of the spindle. I think because these were roll eggs I made off of the drum carder when I was demoing the drum carder. And I was using a lot of fun colors to do the blending for people so they could see that. And so I'm just going to keep doing this, and then I'm going to come back after my skeins are washed, and we will look at the knitting pattern. So this is the final wash after you finish plying. I use, this particular time I'm going to use this Tide unscented soap and just a tiny little dab. So what this is going to do, it's going to clean it, that last final wash. And it also is going to help to set the twist. So that, for example, when you cut your yarn in the middle, let's say, it doesn't unravel or untwist. I don't worry about felting my yarn when I'm using the sprayer. And I use the hottest water I can get from the tap. And this is just one skein, so you don't need a ton of water. I usually let it soak for about 15 minutes in the soap. You can see there's some dirt in the water and a little bit of the dye came out from some of the fiber. Now it's time for the rinse. I usually just do one soapy soak with a little bit of soap and one rinse with very hot water. So let that soak for 15 minutes, drain it a little bit. Just wring out a little bit of the water, and then I put it in my washing machine, set to spin. There's a little bit of fiber left in there from a fleece I just washed. Let her go. It just helps it to dry faster. It gets rid of the excess water a lot faster. It was a nice day, so I could dry it outside. I got that rack from a garage sale. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and locate where the skein begins and ends. Make sure I've got it aligned perfectly. And then this part is called thwacking. And again, this is going to help to set the twist, kind of even out the skein. What I'm doing there is moving my hands along the skein. I do this a couple times and then I'm ready to go, ready to hang it out to dry on this beautiful autumn day. This little guy's been visiting the back porch for a while, and there's a fleece in the chair drying. You can see that. All right, so now I want to wind the skein into a cake so that I can easily do a center pole knitting. Just clamp it to the table. I bought this before I became a Majacraft dealer. There is a skein winder available from Majacraft that you can use to do this piece, but this is just what I have. So here I'm just removing the ties that keep the skein organized so that I can unwind it onto my ball winder. I usually tie my skein in three places. I'm using one of my display hooks to provide a little bit of tension so that the ball is nice and compact. If you don't have something offering a little bit of tension, the ball can be kind of loose and floppy. I kind of love this pretty blue. It was Rhinebeck fiber I bought from a farmer last year when I forgot all my wool samples for Rybeck. I don't know, do you like it? I'm also enchanted by green and white plied together. It reminds me of grass peeking through the snow. So now all I do is fasten that end into the cake itself so it doesn't come loose, because we're gonna be pulling the yarn from the center of the ball or the cake when we're knitting. And make sure that you pull it out before you take the cake off, because I've lost many of these center pulls going a little too quick. Thank you for stopping by to watch this video. I hope you like it, and if you did, I would really appreciate it if you clicked on the like button on this video. It would help the farm if you could also click the subscribe button. If you would like to be notified when videos are launched on the channel, hit the bell and you will get alerts on future videos, like the one I am working on now about the various knitting stitches I used to make this bag. Thanks again for stopping by. I hope you can come back soon.